Alright, it's time for another quick look at some of the things that affect our studies and some of the things that we need to know for our test. One of the biggest problems we have is the fact that people don't really distinguish between respiration and breathing. Breathing is part of respiration, but realistically, respiration is all about energy. And if we have a quick look at it, we'll see what I mean. Right, respiration works on almost all living things. We're now finding sort of a few things that we're not really sure how they work, but that's another video. So what we're going to look at for the test is the fact that there is this huge process that occurs in living things, which converts the food they take in, regardless of what it is, into energy. Now, this is based upon the fact that the bonds holding the food parts together actually are energy. And if we can break those bonds, then that energy is released so it can be used. Now, in most cases, this occurs in a thing called the mitochondria. Now, that is a special part of the cell, and its whole job is to convert food into energy. In some organisms, it does occur in the cytoplasm, as opposed to occurring in the mitochondria. But in all cases, we find that oxygen is a requirement or an input, and I'm going to use the word limiting factor later on. Let's think about it in terms of a black box model. In a black box model, we look at what goes in, what goes out, but we're not greatly concerned about the process itself. The process is rather, as I said before, is very, very complex. There are books written about respiration. So what we need to know for where we're at is the fact that oxygen and food are our inputs, right? And respiration changes those to outputs of carbon dioxide and water. Now, the one I've given you here is when there is enough oxygen, or more than enough oxygen. When there is not enough oxygen, these outputs change. More about that later. So what I'd be testing you on would be these and these. This is called a word equation, and as we'll see later on, a symbolic equation can also be used. Right, if we actually look at the things that are going in, we see that oxygen is a diatomic or two-atom molecule. The double bond does exist between the two, so it's quite high energy in holding that together. This is one of the forms that a simple sugar called glucose has. Reds are oxygen, whites are hydrogen, and blacks or grey blacks are carbon. And so that is where we get this from. And when it comes out of the end of the process, we find that we get carbon dioxide, carbon and oxygen, and we get water. Now, we know we get water vapour because when we breathe out, we release some of this water vapour that's produced from the whole process. So symbolically, we could write it down as this. So if we count the number of atoms, we find that in the simple sugars there are 6 carbons, 12 hydrogens, 6 oxygens. This tells me I've got 6 lots of oxygen. So for every 1 lot of simple sugar, I need 6 oxygens to get as much energy or all the energy out as I possibly can. Changes into the arrow, 6 lots of carbon dioxide and 6 lots of water. So if we have a closer look at this, we actually see that if we count the number of atoms here, we've got 6 and 12 is 18 and 6 is 24. So we've got 24 there. We've got 6 times 2 or 12 there. So we have a total of 36 atoms. Now over here we've got 1 carbon and 2 oxygens, that's 3 times 6 is 18, and we've got again another 18, and if we add those together we get 36, which is what we've got. So it reinforces the whole idea that what we are actually doing is not changing something, we're simply rearranging. And this is the basis of a chemical change. As we know, more about that in a different video.